Hey, today's April 14th, and I'm going to be reviewing the two trades I took today. First one was on Nvidia, and second one was on BABA. So as always, let's start with the daily chart. So I'm going to go over Nvidia first, because that's the first trade I took. So what is Nvidia doing on the daily chart? Nvidia broke all-time highs yesterday. So no reason to short. Extremely bullish candle. And today we were pulling back, but still holding value above all-time highs. So to me, there's no reason to short. There's no resistance. There's no supply zones. So I don't see any reason to go short on Nvidia, and so I'm only focused towards the long side. So the trade I took today was it was a losing trade, but it was a trade I took which was off of demand, and I know in all of my videos, 80 to 90% of my trades are key level breaks because I don't like fighting the trend. If the market is going up, then I'm only focused towards the long side, and if the market is going down, then I don't really want to play calls from demand because to me that's going against the trend. And I know everybody has a different way to trade, but that's just my way of looking at it. But today I decided to play calls from demand for a specific reason. I'm gonna go back to the daily chart, and I always talk about relative strength, and you can see that Nvidia has relative strength on a higher time frame. So not even on an intraday chart, or not even on an intraday chart, over the last couple of days, Nvidia has caught momentum to the upside. So I can play all-time high breaks, key level breaks, but if a stock is super strong, has nice volume, breaking all-time highs, trending up, then I'm also looking for pullbacks into demand to go higher. That's one of my criterias when playing calls from demand. I want to see the equity having a strong direction towards one side and not have it chop around. So now if we go down to an intraday chart, you can see that, yeah, let me, so where I entered was right here. There's a couple of reasons I entered. I genuinely think that this was a very, very good trade on my end, and it just didn't work out. So let me get rid of this price. What were my confirmations for taking Nvidia out of this 1 hour demand zone? First of all, just looking at the quality of this demand zone, I think it was a good demand zone. Yeah. So as always, we rallied, we based, and then we rallied. This wasn't the best rally candle, but to me, we closed above the basing candle with no upper wick. So to me, this is a decent 1 hour demand. Go down to an intraday time frame, and my entry was here. So my first confirmation was relative strength on a higher time frame, on a daily time frame. My second confirmation was was a bounce out of 1 hour demand. And my last confirmation was, or another confirmation was this double bottom. It doesn't really seem that clean, but given this amount of data right here, Nvidia comes back, it pulls back into 1 hour demand, bounces out with nice volume. This is a key point. We come back, retest it, and form this higher low. Volume isn't super great here, but we did double bottom in demand. So my entry was actually a little bit premature, but I entered when this candle near the end of this candle. So my entry was somewhere around. Actually, let me highlight it better. My entry was right here. I think it was like a couple of seconds before this candle closed. My target was first VWAP and then potentially all-time highs, because I mean Nvidia's candles are very volatile, so it moves pretty fast. So a target of all-time highs was pretty feasible. My stop obviously was just a break below low day. I wasn't really risking a close below low day just because the contracts on Nvidia move a little bit fast. This wasn't all on Nvidia. Another thing I want to see when playing calls out of demand is NQ being in demand as well. So when did NQ hit 3 hour demand? It hit it at 10 o'clock. Let me just highlight that. So it hit 3 hour demand at 10 o'clock. And where did Nvidia double bottom in demand? It double bottomed at 10 o'clock as well. So not only was Nvidia in demand, but NQ was also in demand. I agree. I understand that this action is a little bit choppy, but nonetheless, NQ and Nvidia are both in demand. And the last thing I want to go over is what is ES doing. So price level 2 is previous all-time highs, which we formed yesterday. Right here, previous all-time highs. Near the end of the session yesterday, we had all-time highs on SPY. Uh, what did ES do? ES broke above all-time highs, retested it as support at 10 o'clock. So not only was NQ bouncing from its 3 hour demand, Nvidia bouncing from 1 hour demand, double bottoming, having relative strength on a higher time frame, but ES was also breaking all-time highs and testing it as support. So in this trade, I think this was a very, very high quality trade, which just didn't work out. But I mean, ES aligned, NQ aligned, everything on the higher time frame aligned as well. The only thing I guess was lacking was the fact that this was a little bit choppy here, and this initial reaction wasn't that clean. If we had a move maybe up to here and then double bottomed, it would have been better. But uh, nonetheless, there were a lot of confirmations for this trade. I take it here and I stop out right where I said I would, right here around 618.5. So it wasn't a small loss, it wasn't a big loss, it was a decent sized loss for me just because the contracts on Nvidia move a little bit faster. But I would take this trade 100 times and I would lose on it 100 times just because everything aligned up for it, and in most cases these trades tend to work out. Next I'm gonna go over BABA. I also took calls from demand on this, and BABA was a winning trade for me. So what is a higher time frame telling me for BABA? From March, from Feb 23rd to around April 9th, BABA really hasn't been doing anything. We've been consolidating in this range. So for me, I'm not willing to play calls out of demand here just because this action to me right here is extremely choppy. There's no clear direction for me. So as I said, I'm only considering longing from demand if the future itself is in demand as well. The equity I'm playing is in demand, and the daily time frame is telling me that the stock has a clear direction. So I have a really, really specific criteria when playing calls from demand or puts from supply. Uh, just because I'm not used to playing it, and it's for me it's kind of fighting the trend. But if everything aligns, I will obviously play it. But what has Baba done recently? We gapped up 14 bucks, and the main thing which is catching my eye is that Baba gapped up, but it's holding value really, really well. We don't have supply all the way till 250, so there's nothing really stopping us from moving to 250. The only thing in our way is this 245 key resistance level at the time, which may turn out to be support later on in the week. But Baba gapped up and it's holding value really well. And Dylan talked about this in the pre-market plan, but on the daily time frame, Baba is forming a rally, base, and potential rally. So there's multiple ways to play this. You can play break above 245 key level. You can play calls from demand, which is what I did because the 245 key level didn't set up. So I mean, there was a lot of ways to play Baba today. As always, go down to an intraday chart and I want to talk about the quality of this demand zone. This is a perfect demand zone. It was a nice rally candle, nice basing candle, and an amazing rally candle afterwards. Closed above the basing candle with no upper wick. Pretty good volume compared to very good volume compared to previous days. So this is a very strong demand zone, and going down to an intraday chart. I know I say that used levels have a less chance of working out, but I mean this has been working out phenomenally. We bounced here once, we bounced twice. So we bounced two times already, and coming into today, my entry was right here. Again, for a couple of reasons. The first thing is that Baba has been showing a clear direction on a higher time frame to the upside. We gapped up 14 bucks and we're holding value above it. So to me, Baba has strength. It's caught momentum. Second thing is that we clearly double bottom in demand. You can see that this was our first bottom and this is our second bottom right here. Not only that, ES is forming a higher low as well. So let me go here. So ES's action was very good today, but the only equity which really correlates with it was Boeing, and there wasn't really any clear setup on Boeing today. But ES is forming a higher low, and the main other thing is when is NQ in demand? NQ hit demand perfectly at 10:25. Let me just highlight that right here. So at 10:25, NQ hit 2 hour demand. At the same time, Baba hit 45-minute used demand. So the higher time frame is aligning up for Baba. We're bouncing from demand, relative strength on a higher time frame. ES is making higher lows. NQ is also bouncing from demand. And the last thing I want to talk about is this increase in volume. Notice how we did decrease in volume, but it is still pretty consistent. And at 10:25, we had a slight volume spike, meaning that sellers tried pushing us below lower day, and we immediately failed and started bouncing higher. So a lower day fail inside of demand. I take two contracts right here at 10:30, and immediately goes in my favor, but I'm not scaling out. I'm just sticking to the plan. My first target was right here at 10:40, and my second target was actually it was 2:45. But what I was planning to do is if 2:45 break set up, then I would actually add to my position to target 250. And I know that's a really conservative target, or a really bold target, but I probably wouldn't have, it probably wouldn't have gone all the way to 250, and maybe around 247, 248 if the 245 key level broke, and I would just add my position because to me this is another very good setup. Obviously we didn't get that far, and I scaled my first contract out right here. At this point, I'm looking for some sort of rally-based rally continuation, but my stop, I believe, was, I think it was a move below 242.5. So we're holding around VWAP. We get this nice push up. I'm still holding my second contract because I'm being a little bit more patient with this. Yeah, I should have taken it off in hindsight, but obviously I never knew that this was the top at the time. So as soon as we get this red candle and we start coming below 242.5, I take my second contract off right here. It's a good thing I did because I mean, NQ didn't really bounce off of demand the way I wanted it to. ES was approaching high day, but it failed. So to me, it was a good time to exit my second contract. BABA was a winning trade, Nvidia was a losing trade, but because of risk management, I was still able to end the day slightly green. It wasn't anything significant, but I mean, I just gotta keep on taking high quality trades, cutting losers quickly, and the main lesson today, was I will take calls from demand if the future itself is also bouncing in demand. It has good volume, or a rally base or a drop base rally or some sort of candlestick confirmation. I talked about daily time frame, have to confirm as well. I talked about future bouncing from demand as well. And yeah, so I really need a lot of things to align if I'm willing to take calls from demand, because I don't want to fight the trend, and I want to be 100% sure, or close to 100% sure, that it works out. I think I'm going to end the video here. It's getting... actually, I'm going to talk about one last thing, which was Tesla. And I want to talk about it because Tesla was an amazing setup today. Shout out to Dylan, who caught a caught a nice move on Tesla. And I mean, this is like one trade that if you take, I think you're good for the entire week, especially because it's on Tesla. But what did Tesla do? Tesla showing clear signs of relative weakness. ES moving nicely up while Tesla is moving nicely down. We rejected 3 hour supply, so a lot of people who went long in the morning got faked out. But because we have our supply and demand zones drawn out, we know to avoid this trade because we have supply here and we're not basing out or moving higher. So there's no reason to go long here. I guess you could have taken it short here, but I mean, I don't really see any confirmation. ES or NQ isn't in supply. We don't even have supply zones formed. But if you did take it, it was a nice trade. Could have targeted demand, or demand down here, maybe VWAP. But we moved down, and 750 is a key level. So I'm just going to draw that out right here. 750. We come down, we don't bounce off of it exactly, but we find support at the time being in this area. We come up. Tesla has nice volume too. Keep that in mind. It's not low volume like this. It's nice and consistent volume. And this is our 750 key level. So a very nice play would be a 5 minute drop, base drop below this 750 key level with nice volume, relative weakness. ES was also invalidating lower highs. This was our first high, this was our second high, and now that we're coming below this high right here, we are invalidating lower highs, so we are no longer in a bullish uptrend for the time being. I think NQ is down here, right? So look at what NQ is doing. We were invalidating this 2 hour supply. We're basing in 2 hour supply and moving lower. So the signs of buying presence that we did is no longer present because sellers are clearly in control. So not only is NQ ES aligning up, but Tesla has a nice 5 minute drop base drop, nice volume, rejecting supply and relative weakness. So this play, this candle right here would have profited you huge just because it's Tesla, and it moved from 750 all the way down to 742, and guess where we bounce and start making lower highs? Right at 30-minute demand right here. So this would have been a nice final target to scale out. And I know a lot of people who also took it long from demand here. I don't really see any confirmation to go long for my trading style. I know a lot of people could take it because we have nice volume, but for the way I trade, we weren't really bouncing off of demand and we were showing relative weakness. So I probably would have avoided this trade, but I mean, it worked out nicely. If you bought calls or along the equity around 1125, you could have scaled out your final target at VWAP. So Tesla presented a lot of nice opportunities today. Unfortunately, I got bad sleep, so I wasn't able to capitalize on this move lower, even though it was an A plus setup. Somehow missed it, but that's how trading goes. I still managed to end the day green, and the week has been going very, very well for me. I've been green every single day. The winners haven't been huge, but on Monday I was able to capitalize a lot. And at this point, I'm just taking whatever the market's giving me and just looking for better days to continue. So yeah, I'll make a trade recap tomorrow as well, and we'll go from there.